Here at Third Eye Global, we keep it real. And that's why I'm bringing you the latest news. Supreme Court upholds Trump's deportation authority. The U.S. Supreme Court has ruled in favor of the Trump administration, allowing the use of the Alien Enemies Act of 1798 to deport non-citizens identified as members of the Venezuelan Tren de Aragua gang. That means the Aragua train, chat. This decision overturns a previous order by Judge Boasberg that had temporarily blocked these deportations. Imagine. The ruling was made with a narrow 5-4 margin, with Justice Amy Coney Barrett joining the 3 liberal justices in dissent. The case remains ongoing, with further litigation expected despite the Supreme Court's decision. Now, why we would want to keep a literal terrorist organization in our country is beyond me. Got an absolutely based tweet from Attorney General Pamela Bondi, where she says, "This is a landmark victory for the rule of law. Liberal district judges thought they could control President Trump's foreign policy? They cannot. We will continue to deport violent terrorists, and we're going to make America safe again." See what she has to say.
These liberal district judges thought that they could control our entire country's policy, Donald Trump's policy, on keeping America safe. They cannot do it. And this was, again, a landmark ruling for the rule of law yesterday. And it's so important because these flights will now continue. These terrorists, they are foreign terrorists. They are alien enemies to our country, and we will continue to deport them. We are going to keep America safe, and a liberal district judge is not going to stop us. And that's what the Supreme Court ruled yesterday.
So there's been a lot of hoopla over on social media. What if they deport people that aren't part of the gang? I could see that being a valid criticism. I would hope they're not part of collateral damage. I just don't know how you get mistaken as a violent criminal. I don't know. Maybe they need some more research in that department, but let's continue. The Supreme Court grants the Trump administration's request to continue to remove non-citizens whom the government has designated as members of the Venezuelan gang under the Alien Enemies Act. Important word here, non-citizens. Let's not forget, we're dealing with illegal immigrants. Why are you here in the first place? You cut the line. Nobody hates illegal immigration more than legal immigrants who did it the right way. Alien Enemies Act now in full effect. The foreign terrorists will be arrested and expelled. She chose MS-13 over Americans. MS-13 is another popular gang, except this one is from El Salvador, not Venezuela. Huge disappointment. And this right here is the judge. I believe her name is Amy Coney Barrett. J.D. Vance with the base tweet. The Supreme Court today rejected the idea that far-left judges in D.C. can overrule President Trump's immigration enforcement. This is a major loss for the lunatics and a major win for the American people. Onward. It wasn't a blanket endorsement. While the lower court ordered to halt all deportations went too far, the Supreme Court's per curiam order today does not enable on-the-spot deportations and requires a reasonable notice period and will require judicial review for each case where the deportee chooses to challenge it. I don't get how saying illegal immigrants just shouldn't be here in the first place. How is that controversial? Well, who's going to do the jobs that you don't want to do? Not my problem. I don't know. Figure it out. Trump appointed her? Uh-oh. Stinky, can we get a fact check on that? 1 second. Did Trump appoint Amy? Yeah, he did. He did. Trump did appoint this judge who sided with the liberals on deportation ruling. You hate to see it. Interesting. The plot thickens. Do we know why? Why did she side with this? I don't remember. It was huge at the time. Dude, I just gained consciousness. I don't remember shit. Right here from End Wokeness. ACB might be Trump's biggest mistake. And she's masked up. Is that a recent picture? No, this has got to be old. This has got to be old. There's no way they're all masked up right now. This is a psyop. Still pretty weird to deport people to a third country, not the one that they're from. Well, Bukele has taken the initiative of cleaning up El Salvador and has made the country one of the safest in the world. Now, some people get on his ass about violations of human rights in CCOT, the terrorist correction facility. If you talk to El Salvadorians, they love him. He is a good dictator. They no longer have to live in fear. Listen, I think CCOT solved a lot of problems. And if you Google the amount of people that are wrongfully imprisoned, it gives you a range of 2 to 10%. Now, 2%, it's not that bad. 10% is kind of a lot. I don't know. On the other side of the coin, is Venezuela taking in criminals with open arms? I don't think so. Was that even an option? Or did Trump go straight to Bukele? It's like, no, put them in there. Fuck it. They're criminals. Barely an abuse of human rights compared to what the inmates did to get in there. Listen, I agree. Hammurabi's Code, all right? Recidivism, it's the rate at which people are going to commit the crimes again. A lot of people are not open to being rehabilitated. We're talking about atrocious violations of human rights in regards to gang activity. MS-13, Tren de Aragua, they didn't have human rights in mind when they were doing their activities. So why should CCOT extend that mercy to them? It's an interesting moral, ethical question. Love how politics is both super sloppy and serious simultaneously. Yeah, that's how I roll. So this is the Supreme Court ruling where Trump is citing the 1798 proclamation. This matter concerns the detention and removal of Venezuelan nationals believed to be members of Tren de Aragua, or TDA, an entity that the State Department has designated as a foreign terrorist organization. The president issued proclamation number 10903 invoking the Alien Enemies Act to detain and remove Venezuelan nationals, quote, who are members of TDA. Invocation of the Alien Enemies Act regarding the invasion of the United States by Tren de Aragua. 5 detainees and a putative class sought injunctive and declaratory relief against the implementation of and the removal under the proclamation. Initially, the detainees sought relief in habeas, among other causes of action, but they dismissed their habeas claims. On March 15, 2025, the District Court for the District of Columbia issued 2 temporary restraining orders, or TROs, preventing any removal of the named plaintiffs and preventing removal under the AEA of a provisionally certified class consisting of all non-citizens in the U.S. custody who are subject to the proclamation. Minute order on motion to certify class, that's a bunch of we don't need that at the bottom. That's flavor text. As I understand it, Trump rewinded time 200 years, dusted off the Dead Sea Scrolls, and found this ancient law written into text, which basically classifies them as a terrorist organization, allowing him to call it an invasion, which justifies immediate deportation. It's crafty. It's for sure interesting. It's a power move. Still, though, wouldn't you want due process? Seems like they were shipped in the middle of the night. ICE already admitted to a mistake with one guy that was sent there. I think a lot of people are unhappy with the current state of illegal migration in the country. And the second you have one American citizen or legal immigrant harmed by an illegal one, this shit goes nuclear. And that's just a fact. In a perfect world, due process, yes, where they can comb over every single person and be sure. But as of right now, desperate measures, like I can see ICE doing what they're doing. Do I agree with it? Yeah, I do. But I do think there should be recourse, perhaps, I don't know about compensation, but some sort of, I'm sorry, to the people that they deport that weren't supposed to be deported. Sorry, we deported you to a supermax detention center in a foreign country. Yeah, that would suck. I just, listen, imagine your luck. How do you even begin, how do you get associated with violent criminals in the first place? What were you doing? You're telling me you were just chilling there and ICE just came and ripped you out of your house and they got the wrong guy? Is that how that works? State mandated Chili's gift cards for all of those wrongfully deported fixes all of the issues. Or they were just walking on the street. There's a vid of them nabbing some young student. That was for a completely different topic. I know who you're referring to. That was for Palestinian protests. We're not talking about Tren de Aragua, okay? Wake up, buddy. Dunce cap. Here we got a video siding with criminals. Dems under fire for slamming Trump's deportation flights.
New developments now in the Trump administration's crackdown on illegal immigration. Just hours from now, the White House will have attorneys at a hearing.
Why are you here? Let's answer that question first.
Defending the decision to send suspected members of the vicious prison gang Tren de Aragua back to Venezuela. That gang has been linked to kidnapping, extortion, and random violent crime in cities across our nation. President Trump deported many of the suspected gang members.
These videos are just glorified photo ops, but they work and they go hard.
Using the Alien Enemies Act of 1798. But as those flights were in the air, Obama-appointed Judge James Boasberg blocked the president's move and ordered the plane be turned around. However, the White House says the plane was already over the international waters and a single judge in a single city shouldn't be stopping a nationwide operation. The White House will now argue its case in front of judges.
Didn't Maduro reject his own people? So Trump sent them to El Salvador. A common theme amongst all of these countries is that they never want to take accountability for anyone or anything. So then strong men like Bukele have to be like, yep, just send them here. CCOT. Our doors are open, baby.
Judge Boasberg at 5 p.m. Eastern today. Pop your corn, that'll be interesting. But Trump is already defending his actions.
These were bad people. That was a bad group of, as I say, hombres. It's a time of war because Biden allowed millions of people, many of them criminals, many of them at the highest level. They emptied jails out. Other nations emptied their jails into the United States. That's an invasion. And these are criminals, many, many criminals. Murderers, drug dealers at the highest level, drug lords.
I think if you support illegal immigration, you should be legally responsible to house them. Kind of like that thing in the amendments, right, where you have to house and quarter soldiers during times of war. Should be the same for illegal migrants. And listen, you might get a nice sweet grandma, you might get an MS-13 member with a tattoo on his forehead that says, I kill people. Just roll the dice.
People from mental institutions, that's an invasion. They invaded our country. So this isn't, in that sense, this is war.
Do you want to defend these people? Do you think they have a right to come and do all the things here that they were imprisoned for doing in their countries? Well, some Democrats appear to be siding with the criminals.
We already have tools that are available to remove undocumented violent people from our country. And so the idea that you want to go into a zombie law.
This particular law has only been invoked 3 different times in our nation's almost 250-year history. There's a reason why it's been limited in its application. Those circumstances do not appear to exist right now. We're going to stand strongly in support.
Illegal immigration is bad. Our asylum system needs severe reform, and so does our process of immigration entirely. I mean, sure. But right now, there are illegal criminals wreaking havoc in this country. Get them out. How is that controversial?
Of the rule of law and its application, which the Trump administration appears to be violating in this particular instance.
1798 for a reason. First of all, Kayla, how much did things get degraded under the Biden administration that we are left with that kind of an option at this point?
And you made a great point. We were just talking about how it's kind of an unprecedented point in history, right? 8 million let in. And so why not bring up any law to stop that?
And let's talk about asylum for a second. Asylum from what? What are you fleeing from? Violent gangs? I don't get it. I just don't get it. Everyone is seeking asylum. Everyone is running in fear of their life. That's how many ops they have. Listen, the reality is seeking asylum has been abused. People just want to live here because of the bald fucking eagle. Because of the 50 stars and 13 stripes. Okay? America, everyone else. No.
That from happening. The American people have clearly rejected what Biden did. In fact, that NBC poll we mentioned, 55% approve of Trump on immigration and deportation. Now, imagine if you went back to those same voters and said, well, how many of you approve of putting Trenze Aragua, whatever, gang members on planes and sending them back to their home country? I bet you'd get a 99.9% saying we approve of that. This judge, though, interestingly, Josh Gerstein at Politico, looked at when this flight took off, and apparently it was during a 40-minute break before the judge issued the order. So indeed, these members were in flight when the order was.
Mexico does seem rough. Cartels and government equal sized. Mexico is ran by cartels. If I was president, Sicario is happening immediately. I don't understand why we just don't go south of the border and just absolutely squad wipe it. I don't know. Perhaps the CIA is deeply entrenched in some nefarious activities. Perhaps there's levels of compartmentalization above our heads? Not only is Mexico a problem, but the loose open border serves as a proxy or a portal for all sorts of illegal immigration from all around the world, as well as drug trafficking and human trafficking. Not wanting a secure border is asinine. Whatever happened to a good old wall? And I'm not even like a build a wall. Like, I don't care. I'm talking like ice wall, okay? Game of Thrones or Great Wall of China. I want a gargantuan structure like the Colossus of Rhodes. Give me something cool.
Issued, and also the written order, Wall Street Journal points out, leaves out the order for mid-flights to turn around. So I think the administration's on pretty firm footing here.
Emily.
Well, and they were over, according to Caroline Levitt, they were over international waters. So even if they say turn around, that was while they were still over U.S. territory. So
you can curb stomp the cartels, but then you just create a new power vacuum for new cartels. CCOT solves this. Bukele solves this.
Even if they argue that technically they were past it. I want to point out a few things. First is that a law is a law, meaning that just because...
If you're not absolutely red-pilled like me on this topic, look up the Jalisco New Generation Cartel and tell me that something doesn't have to be done about this. Or the CJNG. There's videos on Twitter with seemingly endless Humvees, warthogs, people just blasting rounds into the air in a demonstration of power. Marin, huge. Thank you, bro. Another 10. I mean, if there wasn't a vested interest in the situation staying exactly the same, yes, your government would simply work together with the Mexican one to get rid of them. What is the interest? What do I not know? If we're going to talk about corruption and keeping the situation the same, then I need to know what is to gain from this. Money? It's always money. I hear that, but I think that's kind of cope. It's like an ontologically evil enemy. Follow the money. I don't think that explains every single situation. That's way too simplistic.
Because one is scarcely used or hasn't been used for a while, it has the same import and the same veracity and the same teeth as any other law. So when we have these lawmakers talk about tools that are available, the reality is that many of the tools have been rendered impotent because of activist judges or activist sanctuary city mayors. So I'm not sure if what they were alluding to, for example, is the...
What do I think if it's not money? I don't know. I don't have an answer. I want to know, but I don't think money is satisfactory enough. It's too easy. Everyone just says money. It's like, okay, who's making money? How is the U.S. profiting off of the illegal drug trade?
Whole section, that huge chapter we've talked about before, that delineates quite clearly that, yes, aliens that have engaged in moral turpitude crimes and all the like convictions, that they get deported. But here, the whole point is, well, that wasn't working. Or we need more. And here's the president's authority squarely within the Alien Sedition Act. And when you read it, it's so simple. It shall be lawful for the president of the United States to order all such aliens as he shall judge dangerous to the peace and safety of the United States. Well, given the criminal rap sheets, including rape and abuse of children, aggravated assault of police officers, and more, I think these people fit squarely into that. And final question, which is rhetorical at this point, why are
You're cooked, dude. You want to imagine all these people like sitting around a table doing this shit for moral reasons and it's nonsense. They do it for mindless accumulation of money. I understand why drug dealers sell drugs for money. I just don't understand why the U.S. has to put up with that. How does the U.S. profit off of that?
These judges and the ACLU and these lawmakers fighting so hard to have these violent gang members return to the United States.
You think it's rhetorical? I think we don't like the answer. Yeah, because it sounds bad and it's very dangerous for those of us who want to live freely in this country. So, I mean, I think it's quite frightening. They love their politics and they love their power. Mm-hmm. David.
Couple of things here that is starting to come to light more with all the legal points added into this. Tren de Aragua effectively cooperates with Cartel de los Soles, which is Cartel of the Sun. They're a Maduro-sponsored, it actually began under Chavez, Maduro-sponsored narco-terrorist organization, well-established. So they are working with a designated dictatorial systems cartel.
The politicians maybe profit off of it. Now you guys sound conspiratorial. How do U.S. politicians profit off of illegal drug smuggling into the U.S.? How?
That is... Think in terms of the Iran mullahs and the IRGC, the action arm that trains, and they work in concert. So that brings in the part of this designation as an FTO as well. A couple other things on this plane. 101 of the 261 were removed by Title VIII. So those were legal orders of removal. So this judge is actually countering an already played out process. It's been adjudicated. That order's been given. The rhetorical question is answered by the simple fact that these are people that want to harm the country, and they don't care about you being any American who is a victim of this crime, including illegal aliens who are the constant victims of their crimes when they traffic them and use them in many ways, whether in sex trafficking, drug trafficking, or other activities.
So far, we've heard three of you poke holes in the legal argument, which tells me the ACLU and others acting on behalf of TDA terrorists could just be potentially agents of chaos. What they want to do is slow down Trump.
And I think it's also worth looking at the specific plaintiffs who are at the heart of this ruling.
Listen, I'm not immune to the fact that we're probably responsible for about 300 astroturfing and propaganda campaigns south of the border. I'm just saying, how do American politicians profit off of the illegal drug trade? So far, I've only gotten crackpot answers. No, it's for money laundering, bro. It's for lobbying. Do you hear yourself? Not everything is connected by this neat little red thread on a corkboard.
By Judge Boasberg, there are 5 of them, 5 Venezuelan illegals that the ACLU is representing. I went back and read the court filings, and here are how some of them are described. One is referred to just as WGH, has, quote, been identified as a Tren de Aragua gang associate, but is not a technical member of the gang, according to the ACLU. Very convincing. Another plaintiff, JGG, is just covered to head to toe in tattoos that look a whole lot like those associated with
Oh, my goodness, okay.
But it was just because he, quote, wanted to cover a monkey tattoo that he no longer liked.
That's a good defense. I believe him.
And on and on and on. Now, I'll let you be convinced. I'm not a legal mind. I'll let Emily and Kaylee do the legal reasoning here. But from where I sit, it looks a whole lot like the Democrats' argument, especially in regards to whether these people have been deprived of due process, is that Trump has to meticulously abide by every single...
Let me ask you, chats and commenters, you think America is responsible for making cartels in Mexico? And continuously responsible for making the cartels in Mexico? Dude, you are out of your bird if you think that with 100% certainty. Yes, Philion, I saw it in the movies. Do you even watch Narcos?
Single scrupulous law on the book, while Joe Biden got to violate every single federal immigration law on the books to let them in the first place. That seems like an extremely discordant and very hypocritical response, just from where I'm sitting.
I'll give you a quick example. So Senator Daines of the great state of Montana was on with me last hour. He said at the end of the day, he learned 6 of those who were rounded up were in Bozeman. And so he looked over the weekend. He said, well, wait a minute. ICE had known about them, but under the Biden administration, they were held back. Yep. I mean, there's so much to the story where politics becomes so toxic and really not working in our best interest.
In order to get to the bottom of this, we need a lesson in physiognomy. Tom Homan has powerful, medieval, Yauman farmer physiognomy. This is the guy who used to grab ruffians by the backs of their shirts and throw them into the pig pen because they were talking too bawdy in the tavern, where he was trying to eat a roast chicken and a block of cheese.
The Trump administration is building up the southern border wall once again as crossings drop to just over 7,000 for the entire month of March. That is the lowest number ever recorded.
Let's go!
Janess is live at one of the construction sites in San Diego with more. Hello, William.
Hey, Shannon, remember President Biden stopped on day 1 all-wall construction, leaving holes in the fence, including this one. This is Smuggler's Gulch in San Diego. President Trump picking up where he left off. He's closing that area. He's also closing 2 other areas east of here.
I'm going to be real. The wall is not that impressive. I've seen videos. You can squeeze through if your BMI is low enough.
Where the wall ended and migrants simply snuck across in Otay Mesa. Another in Jacumba. That's an area you may recognize where thousands of mostly Chinese migrants crossed. And this is where agents hope several miles of new fence.
Chinese migrants coming in through Mexico
will help them gain operational control.
Operational control is what we're trying to achieve. We're trying to detect anyone and everything coming across the border illegally and to have 100% situational awareness of what's going on in our area of responsibility.
Trump added 458 miles of wall. By the end of this year, he hopes to add 85 more with projects in San Diego, Yuma, Tucson, El Paso, and the Rio Grande Valley. But that is not all. Over the next 4 years, he plans to add 700 more miles of fence and close to 1,000.
He should rename this to Warsaw Gulch because it's a PvP server the second you cross the border.
Miles of buoys, virtually sealing off the entire border with double fencing, access roads, lights, cameras, sensors, buoys, almost the entire length of the
This shit looks fun. It's like a Tough Mudder.
Rio Grande River. So basically, Shannon, what he hopes to achieve is what you have here. Primary fence, a road, and a secondary fence. We'll send it back to you.
All right, William Lajeunesse, thank you so much.
We're learning. Illegal immigrants charged in Nike shoe heist as cartels rob U.S. cargo trains. Other legislation introduced by Colorado lawmakers has taken aim at policies in Colorado that opponents argue serve as a sanctuary for criminals. Representative Gabe Evans introduced the Unhandcuffing Police to Locate and Interdict Foreign Transgressors Act in late February, which would give more power to local authorities to work with the federal government on immigration enforcement. They got me for my foams. ICE claims tattoos tie migrants to the Tren de Aragua gang. Experts say they aren't reliable identifiers. Who are these experts? Experts have been saying a lot of shit, okay? Experts told me that machine oil lubricant is better than butter.
Venezuelan men deported from the U.S. and dropped into one of the world's most dangerous prisons, known as Secot.
¿Tú lo reconociste?
Sí.
You recognized him?
One of the faces in the crowd is Nice's partner, she says.
How did you feel when you saw the prison?
Mucho temor, miedo.
It was terrifying to see the videos.
She's 9 months pregnant, past her due date.
Imagine getting deported for a tattoo. That's a skill issue. I don't have any tattoos. My body is sacred.
He's not going to be there when his child is born.
Her partner is Henry Albornoz. The 29-year-old crossed the southern border more than a year ago. She says he's been working as a mechanic in Texas and was detained in January.
Is he illegal, though?
During a routine check-in with federal agents. According to his attorney, Albornoz has no criminal record here or in Venezuela.
He has never been a gang member.
No, nunca tuvo involucraciones en eso.
He was never involved in any criminal activity.
No, una persona muy trabajadora, muy pendiente de la familia,
He's a
muy
good
responsable.
Man,
I believe her. Bring him back. Checks out. Let's get him back.
His family first, above all things, hard work.
Oh, yes, this is just a routine check-in.
The Trump administration says the men deported were all members of a criminal gang called Tren de Aragua, known as TDA. But we reported last week on a similar case where a Venezuelan migrant with no known criminal record also landed in the Secot prison.
We came to the White House to talk to the border czar, Tom Homan, to better understand why the government says that these men are all terrorists.
I've been told by the highest levels of ICE, the men and women of ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, who built that manifest, who went through each of these files, spent hundreds and hundreds of...
This is the guy in ancient times when you have two armies squaring off and each army would agree to send their best guy. He's got berserker physiognomy. This man was built to wield a mace or a battle axe.
...hours investigating each and every one of these people, that they are in fact, every one of them, a member of TDA.
You're hiding the big booty Latinas under the floorboards, are you not?
How do you know they are all members? Have you seen that evidence?
I have not drilled down every file. Again, I'm trusting the men and women who do this for a living.
Is it possible that the administration made a mistake by...
See what he's doing? He's trusting the experts. It's reverse psychology. How do you know that? Well, I trust the experts.
Sending 238 men saying that they are TDA members, assuring that they're all TDA members without us seeing
I'm not
what the
worrying
evidence
mistakes at all,
is.
but I can tell you this, not every gang member has a criminal record.
And Lily Lucy.
That's a good point. I don't know. If I was a journalist or a reporter, there's no coming back from that. You got to take that one on the chin.
Luciano joins us now from Washington. Lily, we've been wondering from the very beginning here, for those with no criminal record, what's their recourse? How do they get out of this situation?
Maurice, that is a great question. I have asked the government of El Salvador, and they said, you have to ask the U.S. government. That is why I wanted to sit with Tom Homan. He referred me to the courts, said that's going to be figured out in courts. I asked, can they be brought back to get that due process? He said it's up to the DOJ, but the Department of Justice is refusing to answer any questions about the deportees to the very courts.
Quick question.
I think when people get up in the morning, they want to know what's happened in the world overnight.
Quick question. How am I so goddamn giga-based? It's just, I'm just him. Like, I don't know what else to say. It's a combination of my third eye, common sense, rationality, self-glaze, risk-taking. Tattoos of crowns, a clock, and other symbols have been used by the Trump administration to allege Venezuelan men deported from the U.S. are members of the TDA. But experts and police in a Colorado city who have investigated the gang says tattoos aren't a reliable marker of affiliation. Hopefully. If there's been any mishaps, no. Tom Homan, baby. Let's go. Marin, you're already him, bro. Let's think about this logically. Why would you get a gang tattoo if you're not in a gang? This is also by CBS, and they're really anti-criminal deportation. Trump administration deports gay makeup artist to prison in El Salvador. André Hernandez Romero, a gay makeup artist who came to the United States last year in search of asylum, is one of 238 Venezuelan migrants who were flown from the U.S. to a maximum security prison in El Salvador 3 weeks ago. What we know about him. Hernandez Romero left his home country last May because he was targeted for being gay and for his political views, his attorney says. He made the long trek north through the Darien Gap, a 60-mile roadless stretch of dense forest between Colombia and Panama to Mexico, where he eventually got an appointment to seek asylum in the United States. At a legal border crossing near San Diego, he was taken into custody while his case was processed. So if you're seeking asylum, isn't the move, technically on paper, to seek asylum in the closest country you can? Bro went through 9 countries to get to the U.S. You're telling me there's 0 gay men in Venezuela? Pretty sure one can claim asylum legally. You don't have to sneak in and then claim asylum. I don't know if homosexual persecution is under our asylum laws, though. That's a really good point. They don't allow gays in my other country. I had to come here. You should go to Brazil. All of them are gay. If that were true, everyone would just claim gay and they'd run away straight to the U.S. I don't know if that's an excuse. I like men. I have to move to the U.S. Tattoos and social media were also used to link Venezuelan migrant Jersey Reyes Barrios to the Tren de Aragua gang. Government documents show. Immigration court documents include a Facebook post from 14 years ago showing him flashing what officers said was a gang sign. His girlfriend told 60 Minutes the gesture was about rock and roll. He's a metal fan. Immigration agents also flagged Reyes Barrios' crown tattoo as a gang symbol, but they did not mention the crown is above a soccer ball. Reyes Barrios was a soccer player in Venezuela. His lawyer said the tattoo honors his favorite team, Real Madrid, whose logo includes a crown. Organized crime analysts say that while members of the Salvadoran MS-13 gang can be identified by signature tattoos, Tren de Aragua is different. Great. Sick. Expert after expert tells us tattoos are not a reliable indicator of whether you're part of this particular gang. The biggest crime is being a fan of soccer. Get them out. Name 10 metal bands. I think the reason why so many people have so much conviction when talking about illegal immigration is the headlines. When an illegal migrant burns a woman alive on a subway, it tends to radicalize people. Or when an illegal migrant rapes and kills a girl in a public park, it tends to radicalize a lot of people. That's all I'm saying. What are the gang tattoos associated with Tren de Aragua. Here is the master list of tattoos associated with TDA. Train-related symbols like Thomas the Tank Engine, the letter T, skulls and crossbones, barcodes, the number 3, and images of weapons. So if you see any fellas with a barcode on their forehead, run the other way. A fucking barcode?
On April 14th, President Trump will welcome President Bukele of El Salvador for an official working visit here at the White House. They will discuss El Salvador's partnership on using their Supermax prison for Tren de Aragua and MS-13 gang members, and how El Salvador's cooperation with the United States has become a model for others to work with this administration. On April 17th, President Trump will welcome Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni of Italy for an official working visit.
You know what radicalized me as well? This girl is 27. She is 1 year older than me. Her man is 75 years old. I'm just kidding. He's like 59. But still, sus. It's sus. It's a red flag. Why didn't you marry someone your own age? Nietzsche talks about this. Caroline Levitt. Listen, 27 and 59 is just diabolical. I have to resort to Adam Sandler in Big Daddy. His old wrinkly balls. What are you doing? Gross. I don't know. I just had to point that out. Everyone knows I'm an alt-right grifter, which is exactly why we're checking out Ground News. And they're not even sponsoring this video. That's how nice of a guy I am. Okay? We're going to look at the biases reporting on these issues. Supreme Court lifts orders blocking Trump from deporting Venezuelans under Alien Enemies Act. On the left, Supreme Court reversed restraining orders that limited the Trump administration's ability to deport Venezuelans under the Alien Enemies Act in a 5-4 decision. The court ruled that challenges to removals must be filed as habeas corpus, or in Latin, show the body petitions, and mandated that the government notify detainees about their removal status. Justices noted issues with the hurried deportation of over 200 Venezuelans without due process, which may have included individuals with no connection to criminal gangs. The Trump administration can continue its deportation efforts while emphasizing the need for judicial review of the process. Now let's check out the right. Okay, more cursory information. Attorney General Pam Bondi described the Supreme Court's decision as a landmark victory for the rule of law, affirming Trump's authority on immigration matters. I think this is just an example. The fact that there may or may not be collateral damage is irrelevant to the Trump administration. They are steamrolling through. You want to fuck around? This is what's going to happen. So if we were to compare the biases, while both sides acknowledge the use of the Alien Enemies Act, the left de-emphasized details of the administration's invocation of the state secrets privilege, a topic central to the right's narrative of administrative effectiveness. What is that? What is the state secrets privilege? Allows the government to withhold information from discovery in court proceedings when disclosure would be detrimental to national security. Hello, is this the base department? This divergence underscores fundamental disagreements about immigration enforcement, judicial power, and the balance between national security and individual rights. What do we think, chat? Who's right here? Is it the left? Is it the center or the right? Being on the center's cope. I'm just a centrist. What are my unfiltered thoughts about this administration? Good or bad? Love the slop. Personally, I've been impressed with the current administration. That will probably one-shot some libtards, but things are actually happening. What is being said is being followed through, which is a complete breath of fresh air to me compared to the last 4 years. I'm a tax-paying citizen. I'm entitled to dog shit opinions, just like you. And if you don't like it, you're still watching. That's my vibe check. I want to hear from you guys. Are you impressed with the current administration? Are you satisfied? Why or why not? Obviously, I have my gripes. The administration's not perfect. There's a lot of shit I'm upset about. But in due time, I guess we'll find out. I feel pretty disenfranchised, man. I'm gonna keep it 100. Why? My personal life is absolutely unaffected. I had that sense of, I wouldn't even call it nihilism, but I guess awareness. It seems like with all of politics, it's hard to truly quantify what is affecting your personal life, if anything at all. I'm a college grad, been working since out of college, and recently got converted and then laid off in a blink of an eye when Trump took office. Now, did Trump cause you to lose your job? I'm not saying it's your fault. I'm just saying, like, is this correlation causation? Are you blaming the administration on something that is not in your control in the first place? Now, funding got cut for the sector. I don't know what to say to that. I truly don't. If you're part of a sector where funding got cut, I mean, like, I could see how that's a major L. How about Roe v. Wade being overturned? Didn't they make it a state issue? It's always been a state issue. And the last breaking news in conjunction with this topic is the IRS shares immigrant tax data with ICE for deportations. The Internal Revenue Service, or IRS, has agreed to share tax information of immigrants with Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE, to assist in locating individuals for deportation. This decision marks a significant change in policy regarding the use of tax data. Immigrants, including those undocumented, contribute billions in taxes annually, despite not always receiving corresponding benefits. The move has sparked discussions on the ethical implications of using tax data for immigration enforcement and its potential impact on future tax compliance among immigrant communities. So, because I have a small brain, I didn't understand how this works. I thought if you were here illegally, you don't pay taxes. But apparently, if you are here illegally, you can pay taxes. An ITIN number, and more recently, we just discovered that certain illegal immigrants were granted social security numbers. This was revealed, which would potentially allow them to vote, or it's a step in the process of voting. It's insane. The IRS would prefer that we pay taxes, but they're never going to say no to money. What I don't understand is, why do I have to pay taxes? Follow my logic on this. I have to report how much I make to the IRS, and the IRS knows how much I made. But if our numbers don't line up, I get thrown in jail. What the fuck? If they know how much I made, why don't they just take the money? Why do I have to calculate it on my own? Seems fake, seems fake. So you agree, immigrants do in fact pay taxes. Not all immigrants pay taxes. Not all immigrants pay taxes. All I know is my money is going to Israel, Gaza, on the missiles, and Russia, Ukraine. Red pill these guys on Jake Trent's tax video, bro. All these people complaining but not even realizing what's being taken said. I still have to watch that. I didn't watch it yet. So I ask you, chat and comments, based or cringe, deporting Venezuelan criminals in TDA back to CCOT. Venezuela doesn't want them. Bukele's welcoming them with open arms. What are we to do if a gay makeup artist got sent to a maximum security terrorist prison? How do we repay him? How do we get him back? There's just a bunch of guys in there that just love soccer. Somebody's got to help them out. All I know is this is the best source of news on the internet. This is literally the most unbiased source of news you could find on the internet. Just so we're clear, in recent years, Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro has resisted the deportation of Venezuelan criminals from other countries, particularly from the United States and Colombia. One notable example was when he rejected the idea of accepting criminals who had fled Venezuela and were residing abroad. Phil is boomer newsmaxing, that's right. I gotta stay up to date on the latest news, bro. What's the deal with Venezuela? I don't even know. Somebody educate me. Give me the spark notes. 1980s booming. Let me guess, the CIA destabilized it and it's America's fault. And Kamala Harris should be president. Is that what you're going to tell me? Dude, they're not even sponsoring me. I should probably cover this. Venezuela is super poor because we changed oil partners because they had a change in regime. What's the deal with Venezuela? Just got to watch a vid on it.